Today on What's Next.
To me, it's do it the right way and don't try to take shortcuts.
I don't look at age as if, what is 76 supposed to look like?
And I realized with my family, I'd missed out on so much.
Hello and welcome to What's Next. I'm Mark Middleton, and What's Next today is a bit of a halftime pep talk, but first, say hello to our starting lineup, all here with me today at GBHQ, our Growing Boulder office and studios in Orlando. We've got Bill Schaefer.
Oh, Mark, I always wanted to do this like an athlete does. Bill Schaefer, the Growing Boulder.
All right, thank you for that. Cecily Wilson.
Hello.
Good to see you, Cess. George Diaz.
I'm here and ready to roll, Mark.
Let's do it. And of course, the Sweeze, Amy Sweezy.
Hey guys, I'll be linebacker. Is that good?
We need a linebacker, absolutely. Who better than you, because you can hit hard. All right, in today's show, folks, get ready for this because we check in with three legendary football coaches, Bobby Bowden, Steve Spurrier, and Jimmy Johnson. Three innovators who had success because they were always thinking ahead in the game, always ready for what's next. At 91, Bowden was the dean of the group, and when Bill visited him, he, of course, didn't realize that it would be Bobby's final media interview ever.
Yeah, Mark, I don't think Coach Bowden realized it either. You know, we met at his home in Tallahassee, and as you said, it was just a couple of months before he died, and it did. It turned out to be his final in-depth interview just before he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And let me tell you, at 91, he was sharp and upbeat and great to talk to. You know, he's the second winningest football coach in NCAA history, an amazing motivator, and he was still willing and even eager to pass along his thoughts about what really matters in life.
When I was young, 65 was old. 65 was old. And here I am, 91. You know, I've been blessed because I feel good. Now, I don't have the strength that I used to have. I guess that comes with age. But I feel good.
People look at age as a disease, a time of loss, you know, a steady decline, and then you're out the door. You become less relevant. But look at you, Bobby. That's not how you're living your life.
No, I feel good, and like I say, when I was younger, I never thought if somebody said, "Hey, you're going to live to be over your 90," I wouldn't even couldn't picture it. You know.
People say it goes by fast, and is that true?
And it is true, yeah. I can't believe it's about, I can't believe 91 years worth is already gone. I've been blessed. That's the way Ann and I look at it. Ann's 88 now, you know. We both feel blessed that we're at the age we are. I get letters from boys I coached 50 years ago. They don't mention football. They don't mention football. They don't say, "Coach, you remember that long run I made, or that great catch I made, or what you said?" But they said, "Coach, I thank you for what you said." You know what? They tell me about their wife and their children, and that makes you feel pretty darn good.
Yeah, a coach has an opportunity to influence young people like nobody else, and it really is a shame if they don't take advantage of that to influence them in the right ways. And that's why we revere you. That's why we want to learn your lessons, because you always did that.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't just a byproduct of coaching. That was your main focus.
That's right. That was my main focus. You know what? And as I say, people come up to me and say, "Oh, you have affected so many boys." Oh, well, who? Which one? Which one? Who did I affect? You know, you don't even know. You don't even realize. You know. And then you get that letter. That letter comes through the mail. "Dear Coach, just wanted to write and tell you hello. I'm married now. We've got two grown children. One of them's going to come to Florida State." I get that letter a lot, you know, and that makes you feel so dadgum good.
From what you've experienced and all you've learned, what have you learned is really important about life that you can share with us?
To me, it's do it the right way and don't try to take shortcuts. You know, a young guy gets out of college and got him a job, you got to be careful you don't try to take a shortcut, by doing something wrong, which will get him moved up. Don't take that shortcut. Do what is right.
And when you do that, life can be great,
Yep.
even at 91.
Has been for me. It has been for me. Ann and I talk about that a lot. There's a tendency to say, "Boy, we've been lucky." No, we've been blessed.
Do you worry about what's to come?
I try not to worry. I call it concern. It's a good way of getting around it. I'm concerned about it, but I don't worry about it. I've never worried about it, because my faith, shows me eternity, shows me forever. Live one day at a time. Live today the best you can. Quit thinking about 10 years down the road what you're going to do, how you're going to make a living, what kind of health you're going to have. Live today like it's your last day on earth. Take your job like this is the last job you'll ever have. Now, you might have another one next week, but take this job and treat it like you'll never have another, and then good things will happen. That's what happened to me.
Live today like it was your last day on earth. And when he said that, he didn't mean like to go out and buy things or to go places. He meant treat people better. Hold somebody close. Listen to the ones you care about. Make a difference for others. And he meant that you just never know. Bobby was feeling great that day, and then just weeks later, he's diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He was at peace, and not because of the 2 national championships or the great teams he had, but because he knew he made a difference in the lives of an awful lot of people.
I'm Amy Sweezy from Growing Boulder. You've probably heard of rehabilitation, the process of restoring your health through therapy or training after an illness or surgery. But have you heard of prehabilitation? Getting in shape before a surgery or illness might be the key to healing better and faster, or sometimes may help prevent them in the first place. At Growing Boulder, we understand how important it is in today's world to stay as healthy as possible, avoiding sickness or injury. Florida Blue Medicare also understands this, which is why we've teamed up to explain the power of prehabilitation in an online summit. Florida Blue Medicare is more than just health insurance. Of course, they want to help you live a healthy life, but also a better life. And that includes understanding the significance of prehabilitation. When you visit growingboulder.com/Medicare, you'll find our Prehabilitation Online Summit featuring Dr. Deborah Stewart, a Florida Blue Medicare healthcare expert. You'll learn why it's important to not wait for an injury to motivate you, and you'll be inspired to start exercising now as an investment in your own health and wellness future. Prehabilitation is exercise, movement, and what we at Growing Boulder call positive lifestyle modification. It's crucial to reducing future healthcare costs and the impact of future health problems. We should all be prehabilitating to prepare for those inevitable setbacks which happen as we age. To watch our online Prehabilitation Summit at no cost, discover all of our resources available, and learn more about how we're adding inspiration to Florida Blue Medicare Advantage plans, visit growingboulder.com/Medicare.
I had the pleasure of hanging out with the HBC, the head ball coach and Gator great Steve Spurrier, who is now an ambassador for and a consultant with the Gators. We met Steve at his new restaurant in Gainesville, and although he does have all the aches and pains that you would expect from a former college and NFL quarterback, he hasn't let that slow him down much.
I don't look at age as if, what is 76 supposed to look like? Every now and then we're watching TV and I tell my wife, see that dude there? That's what we're supposed to look like. What surprises me, Phil Mickelson, everybody's saying, gosh, he's 50 years old. 50 years old is nothing nowadays for people that exercise, eat correctly, and keep moving. The last really good round I've had, I shot 70 when I was 65. But I didn't know that was a big deal then, and I still don't think it is. I mean, I got friends who are 75 that can shoot 70. Age, as we all know, is a number, and you know, the way you take care of yourself and all that sort of determines how old you are, I think. More people are exercising, keeping their weight the same. I notice you're probably the same you've been the last 20, 30, 40 years. So if you want to last a long time, that's what we got to do. And I sort of want to last a long time.
He's got to last a long time because he's got a new restaurant to run after all. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill is now one of the biggest restaurants in the entire state. And talk about unexpected surprises. I actually ended up hanging out in the restroom with Spurrier, reminiscing over the wallpaper, which is a montage of the actual plays drawn up by the HBC from some of the Gators' greatest wins. Plays he remembers like they were just yesterday.
Yeah, I can remember every one of these plays because I drew them up. Just for an example, Florida 32, FSU 29. A lot of Gators said that was one of the most thrilling games in the swamp. Jacquez Green caught a little curl and go, and then ran down to about the 20-yard line. And
where else can you stand in the restroom at a restaurant and look at plays that won games in big games?
I don't know.
This is it. George, what do you think made him so successful?
You know, part of it, he's obviously very driven, and the other thing is ego in a good way. He was never afraid to say, "Hey, we're going to go beat these guys." You know, he talked about when they played the Bulldogs in Jacksonville. It's like, "Hey, this is in Florida. This is on our home turf." He made his players, he made the fans believe, and he really rallied. To me, he was, you know what, Mark? He was like the #1 Gator fan who also happened to be the head football coach. It was a perfect fit.
I mean, it couldn't be any better. I'm happier now than I've ever been in my entire life.
When it comes to financial planning, when it comes to life planning, she is as good as it gets. She is Jeanette Bajalia. More and more of us are wanting to, reinvent ourselves. I know it's something that you call kind of rewiring instead of retirement. Can you talk a little bit about what you see from the people who come into your office and how their passions and desires are different than many were, a decade or two ago?
There's just been a big shift that I've experienced because both men and women are looking at these stressful careers they're in and they're saying, truly, do I really need to put myself under this level of stress? And so they work with a financial planner, a holistic planner, to say, what happens if? It's called scenario planning. What happens if I retire now? And so what we're able to do is look at really, what do you want to do? How do you want to fulfill that passion? We're seeing a lot of reinvention. We're seeing a lot of requests to build into the lifestyle plans. Well, I would like to really open up a business. I'm passionate about training dogs, and I want to open up a dog training business, and I want to do it at my pace, at my leisure, under my terms and conditions. So you're seeing a lot of that where we can build in less income for future earnings, and then we have to look and understand, well, what's the impact of that going to be on the Social Security benefit that we're projecting? So it's all about discovering a new future, and that new future isn't sitting around on the beaches sipping margaritas, or it's not just being dormant. There is the shift is, I want to have some purpose. I just need to figure out how to find that purpose, but I don't want to sit and do nothing.
You can learn more about the Alliance for Lifetime Income by going to protectedincome.org and start planning for your future today. You know, the odds that one state would have 3 future Hall of Fame coaches and all 3 winning national championships is pretty much off the charts. Somehow, when the assignments were made, Schaefer ends up in Tallahassee, I go to Gainesville, and Diaz gets Key Largo. Now, I love both Tallahassee and Gainesville, but let's face it, the swimming, the snorkeling, the boating, all of it's a little bit better in the Keys. George, how is life after football for Jimmy Johnson?
Well, it's fair to say that he's crushing it, Mark. He's an NFL Hall of Famer. He's an analyst on Fox. And he also owns a restaurant called Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, and guess where? Key Largo. And that's where we caught up, and he was quite open and candid about his reasons for stepping away from coaching. And it involves something Wayne Huizenga once told him, QTL, quality time left.
What happened when I was at the Miami Dolphins, my mother passed away. I saw mother laying there, and I realized with my family, with my sons, I'd missed out on so much. And I knew right then and there that was going to be my last year of coaching. I was going to retire and spend time with my family. And so that's what I've done. And hey, my family life with my wife Rhonda and my sons and granddaughters and daughter-in-law, on and on. It couldn't be any better. I'm happier now than I've ever been in my entire life.
That family time that he talked about, it includes his son Chad, who unfortunately was struggling with a number of addictive issues with drugs and alcohol. And it was highly frustrating for Jimmy. He tried to help, and it just wasn't working. But the good news is that Chad was able to turn his life around, and now he runs 2 drug treatment centers, including one in Tampa, helping others get to where they need to be.
Well, we hope you are part of the GB Tribe on Twitch, Instagram, and Facebook. We love to interact and hear from you on any of those platforms, especially when you weigh in on the questions from Jess, who is our social media and community manager. And recently, Jess asked if you could ask any athlete, celebrity, or influential figure one life question, who would it be? And what would you ask? And Rusty Yankowski said, Mick Jagger. What is his secret to being so lithe, agile, and energized? Speaking of which, Amy Sweezy is all 3. So, Amy, let me ask you, whose brain would you pick if you could?
You know, I'd like to talk to one of the billionaires. So I'm going to go with Warren Buffett because that's the guy that pops into my mind. And I would like to ask him, what is the one thing that you would give up all your money for? What is more important to you than all those billions of dollars?
Well, me being a rock and roll guy, I like Jagger, but my go-to rocker is Bruce Springsteen. And I really would like to talk to Bruce about the way that he's been able throughout his career to kind of redefine his path and his journey and the message in his songs, because he's done that very well and it's resonated. It's been basically the soundtrack of my life.
Well, this person came to mind because I was, flipping on down the movie channel yesterday, and I saw Schindler's List. And I thought, man, Oscar Schindler, where do people like that come from, where you risk your own life and the lives of your own family to help total strangers? What goes through that thought process, and how are they so selfless? I'd love to spend some time talking to him.
Oh, I love all of those people that you've all just mentioned, but I think I would probably ask Eve, was that apple worth it? Was it really worth it?
Well, how is that for an eclectic list of people we would like to talk to? Buffett, the boss, Schindler, and Eve. All would be very interesting interviews. And of course, speaking of which, we had 3 great ones today. I'm beyond grateful that we were given the opportunity, the privilege of catching up with Bobby Bowden one final time. And of course, with both Steve Spurrier and Jimmy Johnson on their home turf. In fact, when I asked Spurrier about success, he quoted the great UCLA basketball coach, John Wooden, who said, if you've done a good job as a coach, then 20, 25 years later, your players will want to come back and hang around with you. And by that measure, all 3 were very, very successful. In fact, Over 500 former players showed up to remember Bobby Bowden at his funeral in Tallahassee. And, you know, I think that's a great measuring stick for all of us as we go through life. Will the people that we go to school with, the people that we compete with, that we work with, that we live with, will they want to come back and hang out with us 20 years later? Will they want to come back and honor us when we're gone? Will they miss us? That is a definition of success that we should all aspire to. We'll see you next time, right here on What's Next.